ain't me mercenaries, really, that's the double M. Born baller, baby boy, I be above the rim.
What's good, family? It's your boy Just Blaze, host of the best NBA pod in the game, Above the Rim. Keep it locked each week and join myself and a special guest as we tackle the latest rumblings in the league. If it's happening in the NBA, you know I got you covered. Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and leave that 5-star review. Let's get it.
Hey guys, Chris, we have a flashback tonight, back-to-back, 23 points in the second half. You was feeling good tonight.
You said a flashback?
Yeah, you
From what?
From like old school Chris Paul tonight, getting to your spot and doing whatever you want in the fourth quarter.
Devil is a liar.
This is why people who never played in the NBA shouldn't be voting for MVP. Chris Paul is the MVP. He showed y'all tonight. There's always people that couldn't throw a skittle in the ocean talking about basketball or voting for the awards. Get crossed over in the phone booth. Ain't never made a shot in their life.
Talk about it!
You are now tuned in to Above the Rim.
Family, welcome back to another edition of Above the Rim, brought to you as always. It's your host, Justin, aka Just Blaze. Family, you know the drill. To get in contact with me, you can always hit me up and follow me on Twitter at JustBlaze_513 or IG at JustBlaze513. On Facebook, search Above the Rim Podcast. Email the show as well. Above the Rim NBA Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in and leave the family a voicemail. The line is always open. Excuse me, 908-718-1592. Sending those voicemails, family. It's playoff time. I know the streets is locked and loaded with the takes, so make sure y'all call in to be featured on the show, to get your questions answered. Want to talk your shit, any one of that, send a voicemail in. Subscribe on all platforms. Leave a review on iTunes. You already know the deal. Stock up on your merch. Support the fam. Joining me this week, one of my guys I've connected with in this podcast game. Very knowledgeable brother. Big Saints fan and also a Zion Williamson protector. Host of The Real Deal. My boy, Damian Adams. What's going on, my brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm a big fan of the show, and I've been waiting for my invite. So when you hit me up the other day, I was like, all right, yeah, this is what's up, man. I'm ready to talk some basketball with you.
You know it. Well overdue, so that's my fault, my brother. Well overdue. 100%. Definitely well overdue. I definitely was on your show a few times, family, so make sure you go check out The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Solid show, dope show. One of my favorite shows that I listen to is always in my rotation, so make sure you brothers go check that out. And Damian talks his shit on Twitter too, man. I be seeing you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Of course. Let's get right into it, man. I couldn't wait to record today, man. I know you saw me hype on Twitter. I don't care. Everybody saw me hype. I don't care. It was a big series win. But we're going to get to that. But let's start off with some copping and dropping, man. I want to talk about the 76ers in the Hawks series with the first copping and dropping. We'll discuss two NBA hot topic statements, and if you agree, you're copping. If you disagree, you're dropping. Copping or dropping this take, DA. Trae Young is the second best player in this series between the 76ers and the Hawks. Copping or dropping?
Ooh, that's a hot one right there.
Talk to me.
I'm going to say...
Come on now.
I'm going to cop it.
Talk to me.
When you look at Trae Young's game, all the things he can do offensively, as far as shooting the three, the pick and roll, the floater game is crazy with him. And his passing game is so good. His lack of defense is made up for by what he does on offense compared to someone like Ben Simmons, right? Or even Tobias Harris. Like, when you're comparing it to those guys, if you're looking at who's the second best, we all know Joel Embiid is the best guy in the series. But Ben Simmons, he's so limited on offense that you have to take Trae Young over him. Tobias Harris has been amazing this year, but he has his games where he disappears. You're like, where is J. Cole? Is he out? Is it the off season? Right?
It's the on season right now. We in season.
So it's him. Like you have your times where you worry about Tobias Harris, and he has difficult matchups. Trae Young, no matter what the matchup is, he's going to do his thing. So I'm gonna cop that. I'm gonna go Trae Young, second best player in the series.
I like to hear that. And looking at this series right now, Trae's been giving you 28 and 9. Excuse me, on 46% shooting. Embiid is giving you 35, 10 and 4. Simmons is giving you 13, 8 and 3 on 35% from the free throw line. And Tobias is giving you 21 and 8. So this is very interesting when I think about it because number one, obviously it's solidified. We all, I guess, would agree with that Joel Embiid is the best player in this series thus far. When we get to number two now, a lot of people, some people value defense over offense, but a lot of people value that offense over defense. So when you look at it, I'm going to agree with you, my brother, and I'm copping this. And when I look at how I look at it is Trae Young, right? He is dynamic enough of an offensive player, clearly to carry an offense. Not necessarily carry in a sense that he needs to score every basket, he needs to make every single play, but he is capable of being the number one option and scoring effectively when the defense is geared toward him. So when you're looking at a guy like Trae Young, and especially in a playoff series, to me personally, I value offense over defense, particularly in a playoff series, because we know how playoff series go. The game slows down. It's much harder to score. And for a player to be able to hit tough shots and long-range shots, and those type of shots are impactful shots. And we know in the playoffs, you need those impact buckets. And my problem with Ben is that he doesn't give you a lot of impact buckets, especially in times that you need him the most. Defense is great. It's phenomenal. All defensive worthy. We know that. He definitely can control the offense. He can facilitate an offense. But when it gets a little tight, is Ben Simmons going to give you those impact buckets? And that, to me, is why I agree with you and why I'm going with Trae Young as well, brother.
Yeah. Like you say, you make great points. Ben Simmons is a liability on offense at times, right?
Yeah.
Like when
That's
you want
sad
Joel
to say,
Embiid.
by the way. I still can't believe that, man.
Yeah, and he hasn't really improved offensively at all, right? As great as he is on defense and as great as he could be in transition, like you said, the game slows down. Those transition buckets are taken away. He can become a liability. And that's when we thought that they would hold on to like a Jimmy Butler a few years ago, because Jimmy Butler was somebody who was able to work and become that guy on the perimeter for them because Ben Simmons couldn't be. Now you got to depend on Tobias Harris if Joel Embiid is not the guy going to work at the time. Even though we thought it would be Ben Simmons, who was a former number one overall pick. I think that's the part that gets lost.
Yeah.
He was picked to be the guy.
The guy.
Yeah, and he's just not that because offensively you can't depend on him. I'm watching right now miss free throws. So like you just can't depend on him.
Mm-hmm. So let's gear up and talk about the series a little bit. So they're playing right now, game 4. 76ers are up 2-1. Trae had 35 in Atlanta's game 1. They snuck that game 1 win in Philly. The Sixers have come back strong since then. So let's talk about the Sixers a little bit. Do they have enough offense to actually win the title this year? Because defensively, we know they're sound. We know they have the defensive artillery. We know they have the defensive pieces, long wing defenders. But to me, offense is the question when I look at this team, especially in the half court. So you talked about Ben Simmons being a liability on the offensive side on the offensive side of the ball. But Joel Embiid can be unstoppable from time to time. Tobias Harris, he's been playing well thus far in the playoffs, averaging over 20, averaging over 21 in this series thus far. Do they have enough offense to actually win a title, in your opinion, DA? Talk to me.
I think they do. I think they do because their defense is so good. Right? If they were a middle-of-the-road defense, like, say, the Nets were pre-Bucks series, they wouldn't have enough. But because their defense is so good, I think their offense can do enough. When you think about the fact that you have Joel Embiid in the post and he's surrounded by a Steph Curry, because he's Steph's brother, is mad underrated. Like, Steph Curry is really, really good.
He's been hooping, man. I think he's the third leading scorer.
Yeah.
The Sixers, yeah.
Yeah, he's been hooping. He can do more than just shoot the three. He can put the ball on the ground. He can run the pick and roll. Like, he's really, really good. Danny Green needs to be more consistent. Like, that's a big part of when he's healthy. Yeah. He needs to be more consistent out there and, hit jumpers. Tobias Harris, like you mentioned, he's been playing well. when you have those guys playing well, if Shea can come off the bench hitting threes like he did the other night, they have enough offense because the defense is so good.
Do they really, though? I don't know. I don't know if they got it up. We're not talking about Embiid here because clearly he's going to get you that 30 and 20 a night. Now, with that being said, can you rely on Tobias to give you 20 every night? Can you rely on Ben to give you... What do you expect from Ben? 10, 15, 20? What do you expect from Ben?
If Ben gives you 10 to 15 along with the assist, that's when you're doing well. You got to get you 7+ assists. When you think about next round, they're playing either the Nets or the Bucks.
That's what I'm saying. Get you, elite team.
You got to get you 10, 15 points, at least 7 assists, and also, play that hellified defense that he plays. So if he's doing the assist game along with getting you 10 to 15 points, then you got enough offense because those assists are leading to, like I said, Steph Curry, Tobias Harris open threes, whoever else is out there being a shooter for them. If he's not getting those assists, that's when they're going to struggle because then you don't have your other players being involved. Because Embiid has improved as a passer, but he's still not somebody who is like a Joker type who you can just depend on to get you those assists.
Play after play. I agree. So let me ask you this. So Ben is giving, like I said before, Ben is giving you 13, 8, 3 rebounds right now in this series currently. Is that enough for a next round at Eastern Conference Finals if he's giving you the same production, 13 and 8 with 3 rebounds?
No, he definitely needs to step it up next round.
I agree there.
Yeah, he would have to step it up against the Nets or the Bucks. Like I said, maybe a few more points, 15, 16, 17 points. And rebounds, he'd have to step it up. Like 3 rebounds, for him, that's way too low.
That's what I'm saying. That's got to be way high. He's got to give me at least 6 or 7 for me.
Yeah, I agree there. He has to step it up rebound-wise. And that could be both offense and defense. If he's getting 6, 7 rebounds and 3 of those are offensive, that's easy buckets. So that's something that another way he can contribute to the game with his athleticism. He should be getting offensive rebounds all the time.
Yeah, he should. And to me, I argued with Reem and Damo about this because they're not big Ben Simmons fans. I actually give Ben Simmons some credit, but I also still think he should be better than what he is right now. I still think he could get you 15 to 20 if he applies himself on those fast break buckets or offensive rebounds, like I said. But we'll see if he can get better in the next series. But one quick point before we move on to the next one is Embiid's health sustainable until conference finals or even finals if they can get there? Do you feel like his health is sustainable for that long? Because he hasn't gone that deep into the playoffs other than that 1 year.
Yeah, all I can say is I hope so. Right? He's had so many injuries.
Especially this year, too.
Yeah, especially this year. So all I can say is I hope so. He's already had to go back to the locker room in this game today. So all you could do is just hope that his knee can go ahead and get through this, just what the playoffs bring, the physicality of the playoffs, especially this round with the Hawks. He's dealing with a little bit, because of their size with John Collins and the rest of that front line. But in the next series, when you're dealing with, if it's the Bucks, you're dealing with Brook Lopez down there and Giannis, that physicality, that you're really going to have to worry about, can he stay healthy throughout the series, which, again, I just have to hope so. Yeah,
I agree. That's going to be interesting to watch. So we'll see, man, because it has always been their Achilles heel injury. So we'll see. So let's talk about some MVP talk, man. The next cop in the dropping, because talking about the MVP, we had an MVP battle. To me, it was a nice 3-way race, 3 or 4-man race for MVP. We all know Nikola Jokic got it. So I'm going to start you off here. Copping or dropping this take. Nikola Jokic was not the real MVP this year. Copping or dropping?
I got to drop that one.
Talk to me.
Regular season, man, Nikola Jokic was amazing. And that's one thing that a lot of people got to remember, that the MVP is a regular season award, right? Like if it was on the postseason, a lot of people would have the MVPs taken away, right? You think about back to like that year Dirk won and they lost to the We Believe Warriors in the first round. So you got to remember that as a regular season award. So the stats he put up, getting you 26, 11, and 8 from the center position, just nuts, being extremely efficient. And the fact that during the regular season, they lost Jamal Murray and continued to win. I feel like he was definitely deserving of the award. I will say if Joel Embiid was healthy and played more games, I would have given it to him because of his impact on both ends. Joker has become better on defense, but he'll never be elite like Joel Embiid is.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul definitely was amazing during the regular season, but I think Joker was the right MVP.
I hear you. You know where I stand on this topic right here. Listen, I hear you. Those are great points. Not taking anything away from the Joker, but I'm definitely going to drop this myself. He definitely wasn't it's me saying he's not the real MVP doesn't mean he wasn't deserving of the MVP. It means that I would have chosen somebody else for the MVP. And obviously, anyone who listens to the show or who knows me or whatever knows that I would have Chris Paul as my MVP, as I've been calling him the streets MVP. So, because to me, it was the criteria for MVP was all over the place this year, and this year in particular, it was kind of annoying for me. The inconsistency in the criteria of the MVP this year, and it was very subjective this year. I feel like 1 minute it was about stats, 1 minute it was about wins, and then the next minute it was about who you're playing with. If you're playing with another star, if you don't have another star. So I feel like when I looked at it, I felt like a lot of people just didn't want to give CP enough credit for how he was leading that Phoenix Suns teams. Not to say that he's doing it by himself, but nobody does it by himself in this league. When LeBron is at the top of the list of MVP votes, he still has AD on his team. He still has another star on his team. There's always been stars that still win MVP with other great players next to them. So I don't really subscribe to the narrative that because Chris Paul is playing with Booker or because the Booker is the leading scorer, that one cancels each other out in regards to MVP voting. So, let's just talk. Were you going to say something to that?
Nah, you definitely make great points when it comes to Chris Paul. And I definitely agree that they've been several players who have had great players on their side who've won MVP. And we've been able to see their impact even with those great players alongside them. And with Chris Paul, you see the impact immediately when it comes to how Phoenix plays defense, how Phoenix moves the ball, just the way they play as far as their heart and the fact they're not gonna be punked like we saw with Devin Booker coming at Joker after Joker took that hard swipe at campaign.
Yeah.
So all of that shows you Chris Paul's impact. So I definitely agree there. You know, Chris Paul's one of my favorite players as well. He's my favorite point guard of all time. Mm-hmm. And he's the person I've seen in person the most, right? Mm-hmm. Being from New Orleans back when he was the New Orleans Hornets, I saw Chris Paul a lot in person, and watching him in person, you see the impact. You see just how much he controls the game. So I definitely agree with you there, and I have much love for Chris Paul, but I feel like Joker did more with less this year, especially after the Jamal Murray injury, and those stats are just undeniable.
Which is fair, and I agree with you. The stats are tremendous. The stats are sexy. Jamal Murray did miss some time, but to be fair, he did miss only 21 or 22 games. It's not like he missed the entire season. And so I look at it a couple of different ways. So I love how you brought up impact, because you know that's the title of the episode, impact over stats. And that's how I look at a lot of things. And I looked at it that a lot of people can put up great stats, not to say Jokic is putting up empty stats or anything like that, because his stats do lead to wins. They've been a consistent, great team. But when I look at the Nuggets, I don't feel like they overachieved this year, because I feel like they were projected by everyone to be at least a top 4 team this year. I mean, they did go to the Western Conference Finals last year, so it's not like that team is the team for the scrubs. The team was already deep. They did add Aaron Gordon, who a lot of people thought was a missing piece for them, which I didn't think that. But I agree with you. They were missing a big piece of their team, Jamal Murray, one of their leading scorers, which is a big piece, and they did rally around that and still play well. But I don't feel like you can give him the MVP because of that, and because of numbers. And I particularly feel that Chris Paul had a bigger impact on his Phoenix Suns team than Jokic that had on his team. And to me, as you can see in the playoffs, the MVP just swept the media MVP. The streets MVP just swept the media MVP to me. So, and when you look at it, the reigning MVP's been only swept out of the playoffs 5 times. I think the last time was Magic in 1989 or something like that. But listen, man, stats are sexy. They're nice. But leadership and impact to me are more valuable along with those stats. And Jokic had a hell of a season, no doubt. But low key, I actually had him third on my list, man. I had Embiid number 2. I had CP number 1 and B 2. And Jokic number 3 for me in particular.
I'm not mad at that. Because like I said, for me, the only reason I picked Joker over Embiid was health, honestly. Because, with Embiid, his impact is crazy. Like when he's out of the game versus when he's in the game.
Yeah, totally different.
And I don't care about the plus minus stats. Like you watch the game, you see like how crazy the difference is with him in the game and him out the game. So like that impact, like you mentioned, Embiid gives you the stats and the impact, which you really see on the defensive end with him, along with being able to do everything offensively, post up, hit the 3, post in the mid range. Like he could do everything offensively for a big man. So Embiid, like I said, would have been my pick if he would have stayed healthy.
Mm-hmm. See, I like that too. And also, like, I feel like you got to give credit for impacting the culture as well. So you see how Doc Rivers helped out that culture out there in Philly, and now they're playing a lot better. Chris Paul came over in Phoenix, helped out that culture, which was already budding and setting in place with Monty Williams over there already. And if you look at CP's track record, he hasn't had a season under 50 wins, I think since like 2010 or whatever. From the lottery to the Western Conference Finals, this Phoenix Suns team. And it's I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like the criteria was all over the place this year for the MVP. And I feel like, well, actually, just like every other year, the MVP is always a narrative award anyway. So it's been turning into a popularity contest or whichever certain people want to win. So it's and by the way, could you imagine the slander that CP would have gotten on Twitter if he got the MVP and then got swept out the playoffs like Jokic just did?
Yeah, it definitely would have been different.
It would be ridiculous.
Yeah. You're definitely right about that. With Joker, I guess with him being younger and this, being the team that the guard play they knew was at a disadvantage. When you're out there with Campazzo, Austin Rivers versus Devin Booker and Chris Paul, people are going to give you a pass as the big man and say like, oh, he didn't have enough guard help, which is true, right? When Will Barton wasn't out there, you didn't have the guards to assist him and really help him out in this one. So people are going to give him a pass on that. It seemed like the Suns were just a much better or much well-rounded team than the Denver Nuggets. But you're right. If Chris Paul would have got swept out the playoffs after winning MVP, the slander would have been crazy. Bro,
it would be... First of all, I know my DMs would have been out of control. It's already out of control whenever something good or something bad happens to CP3. So when shit happens to him on the court, I feel like it's happening to me. It's just out of control. But, really quick, man, what do you think about that ejection for the Joker? Was it warranted? Do you think they were... it was unwarranted? What do you feel about that flagrant 2 that he did on against... trying to hurt my man Cameron Payne, man? What do you think about it, DA?
By the rules, that's a flagrant 2, right? Because it's not a basketball play. Like you don't, we play ball. You don't go for a steal like that.
Listen, he went for the face. He went for the head. It was above the shoulder.
Yeah, like he was definitely frustrated. He thought he got fouled before, and that was a frustration foul. But the way he did it, hitting campaign like that, by the rules, is a flagrant 2. Now, when some people say that's the MVP, he shouldn't be ejected. I guess I get that because there are other people who would have done that same thing who would not have been ejected. Like LeBron wouldn't have got ejected. You got to be honest about it.
You think so?
I don't think LeBron would have been ejected for that. Certain players would have had that pass. It was like, okay, we know he's a clean player. He just had a bad play. We'll give him a flagrant 1 instead of a flagrant 2. But by rule, he should have been ejected.
But you see, number one, I don't think LeBron will ever do something like that.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. I agree. I don't think he would.
Yeah, because I understand it was a frustration foul, but that's not the problem because that was cool. It's okay to have a frustration foul, but it was the wind up for me. It was the wind up, and then on top of it, he the fact that he hit Cameron Payne kind of bothered me. I'm like, Joker, you really picking on Cameron Payne? You could have hit anybody else with the ball. When Crowder had the rock, when Bridges had the rock, Booker, Ayton, who you're guarding all series, hit him, but don't go after Cameron Payne. And that to me was kind of whack. So I was like, man, get him out of here for that weak shit.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, don't go after the smallest dude on the court.
Come on.
Especially when you're one of the biggest ones. So I definitely agree with that. And like I said, I'm not mad at the ejection. Like, I saw some people were really angry about it because, you don't eject the MVP. Nah, like...
You don't knock somebody in their nose like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's not a basketball play. So if, you're doing all that type of stuff, you get ejected, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, and I'm not to say anything because we know it's the playoffs. Got to play a little hard, a little bit physical, but that was a little excessive. Come on, that particular play. So let's talk about the series. Phoenix Suns won 7 straight playoff games this far, by an average of 16 points in their last 7 wins. They're going to the conference finals for the first time in 11 years. They have a 66-23 record since the bubble. They won 7 straight playoff games, like I said before. In the closeout game, CP dropped 37-7 without a 3 in the series. He's averaging 25, 10, and 5, shooting 60% from the floor, 100% from the line, 75% from 3, my brother. 41 assists, only 5 turnovers all series. Book is giving you 25, 7, and 4 this series, 8 and 14 and 10. Bridges 16, Crowder 12. Talk to me about this series. When you watch this series, what were your thoughts of the Suns making quick and easy work of the MVP, Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets? Talk to me, DA.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I picked the Suns to win the series, but I definitely didn't expect it to be this easy. I thought the Suns might win in 6. I thought the MVP would at least get 2 games because of his play alone, right? And Michael Porter Jr. being not 100% definitely didn't help because he was that second guy they needed. But you got to give all the credit in the world to the Suns, man. You mentioned Mikal Bridges. When you have somebody who's able to defend while also giving you 16 points and all 5 starters getting you 10 plus points a game is major, right? Because that means you can go to anybody in the starting lineup and say, all right, this possession, get us a bucket. Or at least if I drive, I can kick to you for a 3 and no, there's a good chance there's 3 going in, right? So when you look at someone like DeAndre Ayton being able to hold his own against Joker, like, of course, Joker's going to do his thing. You're not going to shut him down. But the fact that he didn't get dominated to the point where they had to send help all the time, right? He was able to hold his own.
That's even though this whole series, man.
Yeah, definitely. So when you look at that, that's really the key, right? Because Joker was supposed to be the mismatch for the Nuggets, and he's supposed to be the guy who can go and get 40 if needed. And Ayton was like, "Nah, we're not gonna have that. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna challenge you." And that was a major part of it. The fact that they could play one-on-one there without bringing help all the time and having to double each possession, because then you're scrambling around, you're rotating. It makes it so much harder when one person can't handle their matchup. So Ayton being able to handle his matchup made a big difference.
Yeah, listen, man, I've been so proud of Ayton this entire playoffs, not even just this series, man. He was, you know what? Hey, man, when coming into this series, not even coming into the series, excuse me, coming into the playoffs, he was the one Sun that I was a little bit concerned about because I didn't know how he would adjust to the physicality of the playoffs, and especially in the West, and especially playing against elite bigs and elite physical bigs that he was playing against. So DA, he is really... damn, I'm saying DA. We got double DA. Damian Adams and DeAndre. Yeah, man. He's been playing. He really has been excellent this entire series. And like you said, man, the Suns double digit scoring from 5 players, the entire starting 5. It's been a beauty to watch them share the ball, and it's a beauty to watch them play agenda-free basketball. And everybody has been a star in their role. But do you feel like they're getting enough respect thus far? Because I guess they have been playing a few teams that have had some injuries to them. What do you feel about that? Do you feel like the Suns are getting enough respect for at least getting into the conference finals this fall?
Not nationally. Now I live in Arizona, so I'm seeing it every day out here.
I didn't know
I'm
that.
hearing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I live in Arizona, so I'm seeing it every day. And Suns fans are super hyped, and I don't blame them. It's the first time in 10 years they've been relevant.
Yeah.
So they just super hype about it. I'm at work, I'm seeing Suns jerseys on Casual Friday for the first time ever.
They wild, They wild over there. I ain't gonna lie. The Valley is hype.
Yeah, no, they definitely hype. And they have a right to be, So I'm seeing the respect they're getting here, but nationally, it's gonna be hard for a team in a mountain time zone to get respect. Period. Them and Utah. I don't think either team gets enough respect, honestly, because they're not the hot team. They're not in the right time zone, and the national media is gonna give you the hits. They're gonna play the top 40, which is LeBron. Since LeBron's not in, it's gonna be the Nets and the Bucks. Trae Young right now. They're going to give you those top 40. So with the Suns and Utah, they're not going to be in there. They're not going to get the respect they deserve until they make the finals, where you have to pay attention to them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% of that. And also, I wanted to bring it back to that injuries thing, because I've been fighting a couple of people on Twitter, or people that I just talk to every day, people I text, talking about a lot of this injury shit, a lot of this trying to basically discredit the Suns' wins, both of their playoff wins, because of injuries. And I don't understand why or how people are complaining about injuries like it doesn't happen every year, DA. We know this is a yearly thing. It's an unfortunate yearly thing that injuries just play a part of the game of basketball. Every year. Last year, the Lakers in the bubble, they beat a Portland Trail Blazers team. After Dame went out, he played only game one that the Blazers won. I think he got hurt in game two, and then the Blazers didn't win a game after that, clearly. They played a Heat team where Dragic was out for a few games. Bam was out for 2 games of that, or a game or two out of that series. Who else? The year before that, the Raptors won with Clay and KD out. Every year, injuries are part of the story of whoever the eventual champion is. So I don't understand how people are actually bringing it up, saying to try to discredit wins, when the team, you don't have no control of the team that you're playing against, basically, when it comes to injuries.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Every year, injuries happen. So that's a part of the championship resume, or the championship. Yeah, it's a part of it. It's going to be a part of everybody's championship resume. It's going to be part of what you put together, your recipe. What you put together is going to be health. It's going to be a big part of it as far as being a champion. And if you have players who can't be available, that's going to hurt you. That's one of the reasons Philly is a question mark. It's because we don't know if Joel Embiid can stay healthy, like we mentioned earlier. So with, the Lakers, if Anthony Davis can't be that number one guy going forward because he can't stay healthy, that's going to be a big part of their failure. So that's also going to be a big part of people's success. You have to give credit to someone like CP3 at his age, staying healthy, even playing through the shoulder injury and being able to stay healthy this year. That's part of it. So give them credit for that, while also acknowledging the injuries, but giving credit to a team for taking advantage and being able to keep their foot on the gas. That's a big part of it as well. So you have a team in front of you with an injury, and you may relax because that's just human nature. You're okay, they missing their second best player. We can relax. And the Suns, because they have a Chris Paul, because they're coached by Monty Williams, they didn't relax. They went straight after Anthony Davis. So Anthony Davis out there limping in that game. All right, you out here limping? Let's see if you can really do it. We're going to go right after you and take you out this game. I love the ruthlessness of it. That's part of it, and you got to give them credit for it.
I 100% agree. That's a part of basketball. First of all, and that's good strategy too. You're not supposed to put an injured player out. First of all, if you're playing out there, if you're out there playing, then you're just hurt. You're not injured. And everybody's banged up at that time. So if you're out there, you're fair game from everybody. Nobody cut CP3 any slack when he got hurt. A lot of people were killing CP when he got hurt the first time during game one. They were like, oh, here we go again. It just so happened that he didn't sustain an injury to one of his lower extremities, so he can actually come back from this type of injury. And I don't know why people acting like they didn't play, the Lakers didn't play a hobbled CP3 in games 2 and games 3 and partially for games 4. So they weren't whole as well during this series. So I don't really subscribe to that they only won because of injuries. I think, to me, that shit is ridiculous. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's ridiculous.
No, I agree with you 100%. Like I said, you got to keep your foot on the gas. You got to mentally be there when you see somebody hurt and relax and let it. Because we've seen teams without their best player or second best player really galvanize and come together because of it and win series or win games because they were able to come together and another team took them too lightly. You see it all the time. So you have to give credit to the team for not being one of those victims of that.
You have to. And I always say the healthiest team always wins in the playoffs. It's always like that. Healthy. We see, we're about to talk about it in a little bit. We're going to see what's happening right now between the Bucks and the Nets. The healthiest team is always either wins or has the best opportunity to win, I should say. So before we move on, though, I do want to talk about my man Devin Booker, man. Because we got to give my man some flowers right now. I got to give Book some flowers. He's turning into a two-way player right before our eyes, DA. 34, 11, and 4 in another closeout game. He had 47 in his first closeout game. I'm happy for Book, man. And I could tell how bad he wants this, how bad he wants to win. He's been losing for a couple of years, putting up buckets. A lot of people were calling his stats empty. Now they've seen him doing on the big stage, a big stage. The casual fan is getting to see Devin Booker do this on the big stage, and he has been excellent and is definitely has risen up to the challenge. And the maturation of his game, to me, has been incredible to watch, man. The patience of his shots, the elevation that he gets, the strength to finish with contact. It's beautiful to watch, DA. So what do you think about his maturation this season and from his first few years up until now?
I love to see it, man. I love to see it. Yeah. I kept saying, I can't wait to see Devin Booker play in important games.
Yep.
Because we've seen Devin Booker drop 70 in a loss, right? And we've seen the talent be there, but not the results. And of course, that's not all on him. Some of it you could put on his back by saying he wasn't lifting up his teammates, but he also was young, right? Coming to league, but 19 years old, expected to lift your team up, but you got to find out how to, improve yourself at first. So he's been able to improve his game, and now he has the right team around him. I think we saw in the bubble last year him take a stride forward and playing some important games. They had to win all those games, just have a chance to even get to the play-in game. And some of the shots he made, that game winner he made over Paul George and Kawhi against the Clippers last year in the bubble, like those plays stay with you and that confidence carries over. I think we saw that this year. He has no holes in his game. Like he can do everything. Like he came in the league, I thought he was going to be, a guy who ran around picks and shot the ball, but no, he's somebody who can handle the rock, do everything. I love his mid-range game. I love how he can catch the ball and almost like a mellow type fashion in the mid-range. Gives you some pump face, give you some jabs. Next thing you know, he's at the rim.
Body too. You say he's been giving dudes body low key.
He's way stronger than people give him credit for. Yeah. He has it all, bro. And I love his attitude. I love his attitude in the game. Like when you see him play, you see somebody who's not going to back down from anybody. Nothing's going to scare him. He's ready to go. So everything I love about his game has come forward now in important games. And you just got to love to see it.
Yeah, I definitely love to see it. The stage has been waiting and it's been set for D-Book to come through and show his skills, and he has risen to the challenge. And he's not done yet, man. Listen, that's how I know. I love to see a young player ready for the task at hand, ready for the challenge. So that's why I think those two, CP and Book, they really needed each other. They were a perfect pairing, as we can see right now, because Booker allows CP to lead him, and Booker has earned enough trust from CP where Booker can do his thing, where CP can take a step back, and sometimes CP needs someone to tell him to relax. I got the ball. Stop screaming at us. I got it. Like, chill out sometimes. Because I'm not going to lie, CP, he could be a pain in the ass sometimes. I know it. But I feel like that's because he doesn't trust his guys that they will make the right play. So he's like, nah, I got to do it. But I think this team and what I've been seeing the entire year is he trusts his teammates. He trusts each and every one of these guys to make the right play. And I think we're seeing that show in this playoffs. And it's definitely been excellent to watch these young guys grow. And they ready.
Yeah, no, they definitely ready. And I love the point you made about Booker allowing someone like CP to lead him. Even though Devin Booker, is somebody who's been playing at an all-star level now for a couple of years. He could be big-headed, right? He could be like, man, this is my squad. he winning now. He went 8-0 in the bubble last year. He could have came into this year with a real big head and not allowed that. But he's been able to allow not only CP, but Monty Williams to kind of mold him a little bit, right? He still is him, but he's allowed himself to grow within what they see in him. And I love that, man.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And yeah, man, before we move on, listen, man, you know how I feel about these Suns right here. These boys is going all the way, DA. Going all the way. You listen, man. I was gonna save it. I'm not saving nothing. These boys are going all the way. I've been seeding all year. You know I don't care. You know I've been screaming the prophecies from last year with the Heat. Actually, I said it on your show, I think first last year, didn't I? Yeah, you did. The Heat call was on my show, yeah. Yeah, so I jump out the window with my shit. And I also, I said the Suns was going to the Western Conference Finals in the first episode of the season since back in January. So, listen, man, I'm doubling down again. We going all the way, man. It's the Suns' year.
You're not nervous about either matchup, Utah or the Clippers?
No. Nervous? No. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge. They can beat, both of those teams can beat the Suns, but I do think the Suns will prevail because I do think either the Jazz or the Clippers will be a little bit beaten up getting into that next series. And I just think the Suns are better than both of those teams, in my personal opinion, from top to bottom. So I think it's going to be tough, but I think the Suns in 6 for both.
Oh,
yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Spicy. I like it.
Yeah.
For me, I think they match up better with Utah than the Clippers. With the Clippers having so many wing defenders, when you think about Paul George, Kawhi, Batum, that size, I think, can affect the Suns in a different way as far as just that wing size, as far as defending. And it can go small and kind of maybe play Ayton out of there. I think with the Clippers.
Yeah,
so Utah is a better matchup.
I agree with you. They can, but they have played well against the Clippers this year. They did shoot, I think, close to 50% off of them when they played them. So for all those great wing defenders that the Clippers do have, I do think their wing defenders are slightly overrated if you have great or elite guard play. So as we have seen, Donovan Mitchell still dropping 40. No, all of that elite wing defender and Donovan Mitchell dropping 40 easy. And Luka. So
and Luka and Donovan Mitchell are both very tough matchups for anybody. But they made those adjustments to both of those guys to where they made sure their teammates weren't killing them anymore. Like with Utah, I think we're going to see that more tonight as well, with the teammates of Donovan Mitchell not getting off. We saw the teammates of Luka in Game 6 and Game 7 not getting off. So I think that we're going to continue to see that, and maybe we'll see that next series if the Clippers do win against the Suns. Maybe we see Mikal Bridges not get 16, Crowder not getting his 13.
Oh, they'll score less for sure.
Yeah. So I think those will be the differences. Chris Paul and Devin Booker still going to get theirs for sure.
Yeah, definitely agree there. So let's talk about the Bucks and Nets. This series is taking a hell of a 180 through 4 games. Game 1 and Game 2 are complete blowouts. They were dominated by the Nets pretty much. Game 3 was a little tight. A nice battle, but the Bucks prevailed in that. PJ Tucker, KD got into a little kissing scuffle with the bodyguard, with the personal top flight security running on the floor.
My man definitely came there like Craig and Day-Day, my man.
Listen, I was like, who is this top flight? This dude is not a ref. Who's this guy? They were just, come on, man. They were just getting a little too close, man. But Game 4 was high and low. Nip and tuck kind of game with the Bucks win. But the story was Kyrie getting hurt in that game. In the series thus far, KD's giving you 29-9, Kyrie 25-4, Giannis 29-12, Drew 13-5, Middleton 21-9. DA, talk to me, man. So with this Kyrie injury now, 3-game series, best out of 3. Nets have both games on their home floor. KD's still playing. Got the troops with him. Are the Nets in trouble with Kyrie Irving being out right now? How much does this injury change things?
It changes everything. It changes everything. If Harden is not able to get back and you depending on just KD and Mike James, I like his
my
game.
boy Mike James though.
I like his game. I like his game a lot. Like, I like his game. He's real smooth with it.
Yeah, right.
but he's not Kyrie.
No,
right? He's not James Harden. So we saw it in Game 4. Now, of course, they're going to make adjustments. They're going to have a game plan to play with these guys, and I can see a lot of James and KD pick and roll. Mm-hmm. They're gonna make adjustments, but when it comes to having that guy, like you said, playoff time, those plays aren't working. You just need somebody to get you a bucket. You need Kyrie. You need a James Harden along with KD. KD is going to play better, of course, than he played in Game 4. PJ Tucker, as great as he is on defense, isn't going to be able to shut down KD or affect him in that way 2 games in a row. We know KD is just a bona fide scorer. He's going to do his thing. But he's not a guy who we've never seen him be the only star and win. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen it. Mm-hmm. Like when he was in OKC and they lost Russell Westbrook against the Grizzlies, it went down fast. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen him have to do it by himself. I think he needs that guard who can create alongside him to be successful. So this Kyrie injury changes everything, and the Bucks should be favored. If the Bucks don't win with Kyrie and James Harden out, things got to change.
Spicy talk. I hear it because, see, after Kyrie went out, KD shot, 6 for 19 or something like that. He was having a lot of trouble with PJ Tucker playing solid defense on him. But I ain't gonna lie, they were letting a lot of physical shit go through, especially in that game.
Yeah, the referees swallowed their whistles early in that one. I was like, okay, this is how we gonna let it go. Like, it was early. You could tell it was gonna be extra physical. It's gonna be really tight in Game 5, I believe. They're gonna call it really tight.
Yeah, I agree. And no coincidence that Scott Dirty Ass Foster was the ref in that game, letting that physical contact. I hate Scott Foster. So I hear you, man, that it does change things. I hear you that you're saying KD does need his all-star caliber perimeter player with him. But I don't know, man. My personal opinion is that I still feel like KD should win this series. I still feel like KD can win this series. They have the Nets' best 2 out of 3. Their home floor. To me, Kevin Durant is the best player in this series still. I don't think the rest of that roster is crumbs. I know you're not crazy on Mike James, but I think Mike James is nice. I think Mike James could give you 10 or 15 in 2 out of 3 games. Blake Griffin, he wants to be there and give up his contract and is signed there for a $1 slice and a Welch's grape soda. So he needs to step up and play a little bit better. He's giving you 9 and 8, but then we need more from Blake. DeAndre Jordan dust his ass off and he needs to play some minutes. Who else? Joe Harris needs to step up. Who else? They might have to dust off TLC. He might have to play some minutes. And when I look at this series, I know Bucks, I guess, should be favored against the Nets without James Harden, without Kyrie. But to me, the Bucks were never a juggernaut team, in my opinion. Like, to me, I picked the Bucks to actually lose in the first round against the Heat. So I didn't even feel like the Bucks were even supposed to be here right now, to be honest. I just felt like the Heat underperformed, and that's why they're there. So when I'm looking at this series, the rest of the series, I'm like, yo, KD, there's still nobody on that floor that can guard you. Giannis wants no smoke with you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks to me like Giannis wants no smoke with KD guarding him all game. He has PJ on him, solid defender, but come on. PJ Tucker, 6'5", is not stopping no KD. I feel like they need to play through KD each one of these games, and he's good enough to get you a 35, 45 piece and win you 2 of these games, DA. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, he definitely has the talent to do it. Like, that's...
Why can't he?
That's a $1 million question. Like, for him, like, for some reason, it seems like he needs that other guy to feel confident. He needs that other guy with him to feel like he can do it. It's something, maybe it's mental, but it's definitely not physical. Like, he has all the tools. We know KD, I think, is the most talented scorer of all time. When you think about everything he can do, being 7 feet, pull from 30, he can mid-range jumper, drive to the goal, dunk on you. He has everything.
Does.
So he definitely can drop 45, 50 points when needed. They definitely need him to do that if they were without Kyrie and James Harden. They need him to do that. I don't think DeAndre Jordan's getting dusted off because he comes out there. we gonna see Giannis look really, really good. Blake's been doing a decent job on Giannis. I don't think DeAndre Jordan has that in him anymore. Like, I don't think he has that.
Yo,
that
he's
side
not
to side.
old though. How does he not have that? Son, he's 31. I think he's like 31.
Yeah, some people just age faster, bro. Like, I feel like that man was, he's that Benjamin Button disease in reverse. Like, he aged really, really quick.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I don't think you're gonna put him out there. Jeff Green did some good stuff out there. I think he's gonna help out. But yeah, it's for me. Again, you got Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis against KD and the crew. The Bucks gotta win. If they don't, I gotta see my man Mike, my man Bud. He gotta be gone.
He gotta go anyway. I really think we'll lose, but gotta go to me, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Because the coaching, the fact that we still seeing Giannis do some of these things that he's doing, part of that is coaching. Mm-hmm. Like, you got to get him in better positions than just asking him to be at the top of the key, going against 1-against-5, or Blake just sitting in the lane. You asking Giannis to score when Giannis obviously can't shoot right now.
So talk to me about that, DA, because I wanted to bring that up right now. So I'm glad you brought that up. So we noticed Giannis has been taking a lot of heat for his offensive game, and to me, rightfully so. Especially in this series, we see all the videos that's been coming out with Giannis with his lack of bag. He got a Birkin bag with nothing in it, pennies in there. So Giannis, he's getting lowest of keys, not really shut down, but lowest of keys. Blake Griffin has been putting a body on him. And he's making him look a little relatively pedestrian on the offensive end. He's got to get his ass into the gym this summer. And I'm sick of his lack of a post move or his lack of a mid-range game right now. So talk to me about the heat that Giannis has been getting for his lack of offensive game in this series. Have you been liking what you... Well, I'm sure you haven't been liking what you've been seeing, but what have you been seeing?
I've been seeing somebody whose confidence is really shaken. Right?
I agree.
And the crazy part is he's still getting stats. Like, he's still getting you 30 points a game this series. And he's so physically gifted that he's going to be able to do that. But there's going to be times where those physical gifts aren't going to be enough, right? We've seen it where you said Blake is timing him perfectly at times and being right there. He doesn't have that second move. Like, if that side step doesn't work, he doesn't have that counter, right? And for me, he's in a series like this, he would be so much better if he just sit in a pick, roll into the basket. He could post up from time to time, because when Chris Middleton is the ball handler or Drew is the ball handler and he's setting a pick, especially like a side pick and roll, he's killing, because once he picks and rolls, you have to either make a decision on him or whoever's handling the rock, if it's Middleton or Drew Holiday. But when it's him at the top of the key, everybody chilling. We're like, okay, we know once he gets down here, he's either going to try to body through somebody or he's looking for a three-point shooter.
Bro, I want to throw something at the TV when I see that.
There was one play where he did the thing where he dribbled in, dribbled back out, then attacked Blake, and Blake still blocked the ball. I was like, come on, bro.
That shit was ridiculous. DA, my man took a running start. Like, he looked like he was charging up the engine. He had to back up to charge it up, did a running start to get it smacked out of bounds. Giannis.
Yeah.
Cut the bullshit, man. Come on.
Yeah, he definitely got to add to his bag, man. Like you said, it's a Birkin bag. Like, his body is a Birkin bag.
It is.
But he doesn't have anything in it. Like you said, once you get past the shiny leather, you look inside the bag, you're like, oh, this might be a bootleg. This is... so that's what you got to...
He bought that on 28th Street. Yo, come on. Giannis with the Birkin bag with pennies in it. Come on, brother. Step it up, man.
Yeah.
And so you're saying that the Bucks have to win this series, right? They should win. You got the Bucks. Best out of 3.
Yeah. With Kyrie out, Harden out, the Bucks gotta win this series.
It's gonna be interesting, man. I still have the Nets winning, but I agree with you. The Bucks should win this series. They are the better team from top to bottom without those 2 stars out. But I got faith in KD, and I have even less faith in the Bucks. So, I think the Nets can still pull this out. Let's talk about the Jazz and Clippers. They're going to be playing Game 4 tonight. So it's going to be a little interesting what happens. It could change things. We'll see who wins tonight. Thoughts on this series, DA? The Jazz are up 2-1 right now. Mitchell is averaging over 35. He's going to be 37 in this series already. Damn. Clarkson with 18. Jazz got over 5 players averaging the double figures. Kawhi 26-7, PG 26-7. Reggie Damn Jackson is the third scorer for the Clippers with 18, which is ridiculous to me, but I'm gonna get into that. So talk to me, DA. What's your thoughts on this series, this Jazz Clippers series thus far, man?
I think this series is exposing the casuals. When you hear somebody say, "Oh man, Donovan Mitchell finally stepping up in the playoffs," where you been? Like where have you been? Because this man has been doing this. You can go back to the series where he put both Russell Westbrook and Paul George out when it was in OKC. Like, you can go back to that.
Yep.
This man's been doing this in the playoffs, and the difference now is his 3-point shot is so much more consistent now. Like, when he comes off that pick and roll and he ain't got that person in front of him and he's putting up clean, it's buckets.
Yes.
Like, he's not missing that. So you combine that with the speed that he has and the fact that the Jazz do such a good job of getting him in a good place. Like in Game 1, it was Game 1, I believe, where, they started to try to put Kawhi on at the end, and the Jazz was like, all right, we're going to set these picks. You got Luke Kennard out here? We about to work Luke Kennard. So if they got anybody out there who is going to be a liability on defense, they're going to get work because the Jazz know how to find you. You're not going to be able to hide.
Yep.
We're going to find you, and we're going to make sure that you get exposed out here on defense. So they've been doing a great job of that. Now, I do believe that the Clips made some adjustments we saw in Game 2 and in Game 3 where they were able to go to what they have as their best players. I didn't get why they were so deep in their lineup in Game 1. It was pulling people out. I forgot I was on the team.
They played like 11 dudes in Game 1. I mean, in Game 2, yeah, you're right, man.
I'm like, damn, why y'all going so deep? The playoffs usually go 7, 8 deep, 9 if you're lucky. Like you got your crew 7 or 8 people that you go to in the playoffs. Ty Lue was out here trying to experiment and find things. I'm like, I love for Boogie, but Boogie at this stage of his career isn't really going to give anything to you against Rudy Gobert.
Listen, man, Boogie on that court, he's running like LeVar Ball. Leave him on the bench. Leave my son on the bench, yo. He not ready.
Exactly. Like I said, I got much love for Boogie. I hate that he had the injuries that happened to him. And, it'd be a much different series if we had a prime Boogie Cousins, but he can't be out there, right? And then you have people who didn't play that much who I thought should be playing, like my man, Man.
Terrence Mann, yeah.
I'm like, why is he not playing? Like, he had that little, that mess up there in Game 5 against Dallas where he definitely got the lemon booty when he went up for the layup. and my man just tried to pass the ball off. Like, bro, you had a wide open layup. Luka couldn't do nothing but foul you.
Yep.
And you try to pass it off. But besides that, my man's been balling. He needs to be out there.
Yeah.
So I think they found their core people. And Paul George, who I poked a little fun at throughout these playoffs, but he balled out last.
For Paul George's playoffs, DA.
But for me, I started believing in Paul George. I was the one caping for him because he had such a good regular season.
Yeah.
And people are just like, it don't matter. It don't matter what he do during the regular season. He got a ball in the playoffs. So I've been rooting for him. Like, I want him to ball during these playoffs so people can respect what he did this season because he was so efficient and played so well this season. I'm like, all right, these playoffs going to be different. And he's had a few games here and there, but it hasn't been that consistent PG that we need, right? Because even with the games where Kawhi doesn't score 25 plus, it's still, when he gets only 21, it looks different than when Paul George only gets 21.
Yeah.
It just looks so much different because you're like, Paul George, there's times where Paul George could be in transition and he'll slow down. You're like, Paul, get to the bucket. Like, they're not, like, you in transition, there's no one there at the bucket. Get to the bucket.
Yeah.
And there's times where he settles for shots, and he's a great shooter.
Yeah.
But times where he settles for shots, you're like, why are you doing that, bro? You 6'8" with an amazing handle, right? A lot of people say he got the best handle of anybody 6'8" or higher. Get to the bucket, bro. And he, like, for me, I think last game he really started to find his groove, and I think we'll continue to see that tonight. and the Clippers have made those adjustments. And I see, like I said earlier, those other players, those role players for the Utah Jazz aren't going to be able to get off. Donovan Mitchell's going to do his thing, but those other players won't get off.
Yeah, I hear all of that, man. And when I look at the Clippers, me personally, I hear everything that you're saying. I agree. But me personally, I just don't feel, I'm not feeling the continuity from this Clippers team when I look at them. To me, they play, and I said this before a few times, to me, they play as if they're a bunch of coworkers instead of a team that are all on one accord, to me personally. Now, they have some talent, one of the top talented teams in the league. But to me, in my opinion, they are a top-heavy team, in my opinion. I don't agree with a lot of people who keep saying that they are one of the most talented teams in the league. I think they are talented, but I do think there are teams more talented and are better than them. They're like I said, top-heavy, Kawhi, PG. Aside from them, the rest of the team they're talking about. And I brought it up earlier. Third best player, third leading scorer is Reggie Jackson. Really? For a championship team? Reggie Jackson, bro? He's a sixth man. And then a hobbled Cousins, like you brought up, LaVar coming out there. Batum, Luke Kennard, DA. This is the top 5 right now. These brothers that I'm like, Reggie Jackson, Batum, Luke Kennard, Marcus Morris in there giving you spotty minutes. Patrick Beverly just running around as usual. Rondo out here, who you got, is getting DMPs, so clearly he's not that much of a factor. And I don't feel like Clippers can just walk into any gym and win a game. I feel like they got to earn their wins, and I don't think they're more talented than every other team that are in the playoffs, like how the media is portraying them to be. And me personally, I got the Jazz in this series. I had the Jazz in the series from the beginning. I had the Jazz in 6, and I'm not going to waver from that. I still think the Jazz are going to win this series in 6, and to me, they playing hungry. And to me, they're playing like they wanted a little bit more, in my opinion. But I'm not trusting this Clipper team with Reggie Jackson as your third best player. I'm just not going to do it, brother.
I hear you on Reggie Jackson, bro, but we got to look at what's in front of us, bro. Reggie been balling, dog.
He has, but they're relying on Reggie Jackson now. That's what I'm saying. Now it's like they need that 18 from him. It's supposed to be a luxury to get a 15 or 18 from Reggie.
No, that's true. They are dependent on Reggie Jackson to be better
now.
And the thing is, he's earned that starting spot, and they need it. But man, watching Reggie, I believe in Reggie right now. Okay. Like, I believe in him to get those 15 points for you, because his confidence, the way he's playing right now. Yeah, I believe in Reggie right now, bro. Like, he's definitely balling, and he's been somebody who they can go to in situations where, say, the defense is denying Kawhi, denying Paul George, they can't get the play they want. He's been able to get buckets in ISO and pick and roll. So I think that Reggie may have turned a corner in a way where he's never going to be a superstar, but he could be a dependable player for you.
Wow, my son got a lot of faith in Shmurda. All right, I hear that. I'll tell you right now. I don't, okay? I'm glad you do, because I don't. So it sounds to me like you got the Clippers in this series, if I'm not mistaken. Am I?
Nah, you're not. I picked the Clippers in 6 originally. Mm-hmm. It may go 7 now, but I'm still sticking with the Clippers to win.
So you got the Clippers in what, 6?
In 6, yeah.
Okay, so they got to come up big then in these next few games if they win it in 6.
Yeah, they got to. Like I said, that's why I gave myself a little leeway. I said it might go 7, but my original pick was Clippers in 6, so I'm going to stick to it.
See, to me, before we close this out, move on out of it, I don't know if they could win a Game 7 in Utah, man. I don't know. That Jazz crowd is a little ruckus, especially this particular year. The crowds, I feel, are having an impact, I think, in this particular season. So I don't know if I trust the Clippers in the Game 7 in Utah, bruh. I don't know.
It's definitely a tough crowd, and crowds are having impacts. For me, though, you got somebody like Kawhi. He's not going to be affected by anything.
He'll be good. Yeah, he'll be good.
Yeah, he'll be good. Paul George is somebody you may be affected, maybe not. He's been already getting a chance. I think by Game 7, he'll be used to it. So
he should
for
be used
me,
to it already. Damn.
Yeah, no, he should be. He should be used to all of it. Like, for him, you know, is Joe Ingles really his nemesis? Is that really is that really a thing where Joe Ingles? It shouldn't be a rivalry between Paul George and Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles is nice. Don't get me wrong. He could play, but it definitely shouldn't be a rivalry where, he's being affected by Joe Ingles and the Utah crowd. So a Game 7 in Utah would be tough, but someone like Kawhi, we've seen him do it in Game 7s. And I think we could trust in that crazy game that he had against Dallas in Game 6, going there and doing that. He definitely can do it, and he knows when to turn it on. So I trust him in the Game 7 to be that guy, along with my guy Reggie, man.
Oh, we gonna see, man. Listen, since that's your guy, now I'm really looking after Reggie right now, and I'm gonna be at you too. Since you got a lot of faith in Reggie, we gonna see what that boy does tonight, man. We gonna see. Because I'm rooting for a big series, and obviously I'm rooting for the Suns, so I want this series to go as long as possible. So let that go 7. I'm good with that. My boy DA, man, Damian Adams, I appreciate you for joining me for this long overdue episode, my brother.
Oh, man, thank you so much for having me on, man. It's always a blast when I get to talk basketball with you. The episodes you've done on my show have always been good because you come with that knowledge. I love the energy you come with. So thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. And like I said, this is well overdue, but this was such a dope episode. You got to come back again soon. So definitely look out for that invite again soon, man, because this was some great playoff talk, my brother. And yo, you never know if the Suns get to the finals, I might be out there in Arizona, so we might have to link up or something, bro. I might be out there in the valley, bro.
Hey, bro, you come out here, just let me know, bro. I got you.
Most definitely, yo. My boys might be going all the way, man. You know I'm gonna be talking my shit. I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm hype. But bro, I appreciate you, like I said, once again, my brother. And of course, it's all love for me, man. Anytime you need me back on your show, just let me know, my brother.
Oh, definitely, man. I gotta have you on soon. Like I said, anytime you want me on, just let me know, man. Send a back signal. I'm gonna answer it, bro.
Let's do it. You know it. And we're gonna be checking out all these games out there tonight. So we'll see how these games go. Family, stay tuned. Keep it locked as usual. Make sure you go follow my man Damian Adams. Make sure you go check out his show. Subscribe on all platforms. Leave my boy a review. Leave me a review. All that good stuff. Cop your merch. Above the Rim, episode 155. And we out.